I didn't have the best start in life. My parents were very poor. We lived in a very small house, and life was a struggle. But then one day, that all changed. My life suddenly got a whole lot better. Before I go on, make sure you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you do, you will become super rich when you're older. I had always been jealous of the other kids at my school. Whatever they wanted, they got. They all had the trendiest clothes and the latest new phone. I didn't even have a phone. All my clothes were handed down from my older sister. Most of them had stains on them, and my shoes had holes in the soles. The other kids at school would laugh at me and call me names. I just wanted to be like them. My mom and dad both worked hard, but they didn't have jobs that paid well. I never really saw my dad. He went out to work early in the morning and came home long after I had gone to bed. Mom tried her best to give my sister and I a nice life, but it wasn't easy for her. The day it all changed was just like any other. I went off to school in the morning. I took my own lunch as Mom couldn't afford for me to buy anything at the school canteen. I was used to just having bread and jam for lunch. It had been like that all my life. I was in high school now, and the other kids didn't tease me as much now. I guess they kind of ignored me, really. I was walking home from school when suddenly I noticed a shiny $1 coin on the floor. I bent down and picked it up. I looked around me. No one seemed to have lost it. I was about to put it in my pocket to take it home. I knew that this would help my mom to buy some groceries, when suddenly I realized I was in front of the newsagents. I looked in the window and saw the bright, sparkly scratch cards for sale in the shop. I hesitated for a minute, but then decided I was going to go in and buy one. I waited for my turn to be served and asked for one scratch card. The sales girl looked at me doubtfully. "Do you even have money to pay?" she asked, looking at my worn clothes and shoes. "Yes, I do," I replied, handing over the $1 coin. She handed me the scratch card and I left the shop. I was so excited. I wanted to make this moment last as long as possible. I thought about where I should go to scratch off the card. I knew the perfect place. I would go to the park. There was a little bench overlooking the lake. I would sit there. I headed off to the park. I felt so happy. I knew I wouldn't win anything, but I just wanted to be like the other kids that bought the scratch cards every week. I wanted to know how they felt. I sat down at the bench and took out the scratch card. I read it. Match 3 symbols to win. It said. I scratched off the first column. I had the money symbol. Good start, I thought. I scratched off the next column. Money symbol again. Now I was getting nervous. I couldn't actually win, could I? My hands shaking, I scratched off the last column. It was another money symbol. I had won. I had actually won. I ran back to the shop as fast as I could. I handed my card to the sales girl. She looked at me smiling. "Congratulations," she said. "You have won $1 million." I thought I was going to faint. $1 million? I was rich. I couldn't wait to tell my family. I set off for home, planning all the things I was going to buy with my money. But as I got closer to home, I thought about what my parents would say when they found out. My dad would tell me to put the money in the bank. He would tell me to buy a house and not waste it on silly things like nice clothes and expensive restaurants. That's when I decided I wasn't going to tell my parents or my sister. I would keep my win a secret. I arrived home and Mom was in the kitchen preparing dinner. Vegetable soup, as usual. We only had meat on very special occasions. I could hardly contain my excitement as I sat down to eat. I was dreaming about all the things I was going to buy. From then on, my life changed. My parents had no idea. I bought myself a whole new wardrobe of clothes, but I had to hide them. I left the house wearing my old worn-out clothes and changed into my new expensive clothes when I was out of sight. It was easy to pretend I was still poor. I did feel a little guilty at home, especially when my mom said that she was getting a second job to help pay all the bills. She looked exhausted all the time, but I was having so much fun. I saw all the trendy kids wearing a new style of sneakers. I decided I had to have a pair. Saturday morning came and Mom had already left for work. I got up and had breakfast, then called my friend. I arranged to meet her in town. "I want to buy some new sneakers," I told her when we met up. "I know a new shop where you can get them," she said. "Follow me." We walked through the town and arrived at the shop. It had all the latest sneakers in the window. I stood looking at them. We went into the shop. "I'd like to try on the pink sneakers in the window," I said to the clerk. As she turned around, my mouth dropped open and I gasped. "Mom, what are you doing here?" I said. "This is my new job," she replied. With that, I ran out of the shop. My friend ran after me, looking confused. "What's wrong?" she asked. "Oh, Nothing, I replied. I just changed my mind. Luckily, she hadn't seen it with my mom working in the shop. When Mom came home from work, she came to my room. Why did you want to try on the sneakers, Sarah? She asked. You know we would never be able to afford them. I just wanted to see how they felt, I replied. My mom looked at me sadly, but she gave me a little smile. I woke up the next day and forgot all about the sneakers incident. I was excited. I was going out to one of the best restaurants in town with all of my friends. I left the house in my old worn clothes as usual, then changed into one of my best dresses and sparkly shoes. We went into the restaurant and sat down at the expensive-looking table. I felt like a princess. We ordered the best of everything. We had lobster and steak and the biggest piece of chocolate cake you could imagine. I had the time of my life. When I got home, Mom was busy in the kitchen again. She smiled at me as I came in. I have a treat for you, Sarah, she said. I've made your favorite, roast chicken. I looked down at the plate. I knew Mom had made this to cheer me up, but I was so full. I couldn't eat another thing. Mom looked disappointed when I said I wasn't hungry, but she hid it and said, It's okay, never mind. It wasn't long before I was wanting something new to make me happy. Buying clothes and shoes wasn't exactly as exciting as it used to be. I thought about what would really make me happy. I know, I thought. I want to go to a foreign country on holiday. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I sat at my computer searching different countries. Finally, I decided it was Greece that I wanted to go to. I couldn't wait to sit on the beaches there. I was looking at hotels trying to choose which one to book when my mom came into my room. Why are you looking at hotels in Greece? She asked. I want to travel, Mom, I replied. She looked at me sadly. You will need to get a job and save up for a very long time then, she said. The next day I went down to the travel agents and booked my trip. I was going to Greece. I was going to stay there for 1 month. I was so excited. Now all I had to do was think of a reason to tell my parents that I would be going away. The answer came to me that evening. I was sitting at home, and as I didn't have anything else to do, I picked up the newspaper and started looking through the job vacancies. Suddenly, something caught my eye. There was an advert looking for a maid to work for a family in the next state. They wanted someone who could live with them. I tore the advert out of the newspaper and put it into my pocket. The next morning, I told Mom and Dad over breakfast. I said that I had seen the job advert in the newspaper. I said I didn't want to say anything until I was sure, but I had applied for the job and I'd got it. Mom looked a little sad when I said I was going to live with the family, but she knew that if I wanted to travel, then I would need to take the job. The following week, I packed up my bags and waved goodbye to Mom and Dad. They thought I was going to the bus station to take a bus to the next state, but instead, I went to the airport. I was catching my flight to Greece. The flight to Greece was overnight. It took such a long time, but eventually, we landed on a runway and the plane doors opened. The heat hit me in the face. I could feel the hot sunshine as soon as we left the plane. I looked around me. Everything looked so magical. It was all I had dreamed of. I took a taxi to my hotel. It was blue and white and looked exactly as it did in the travel agent's photos. A porter carried my bags to my room. I felt like royalty. This was the life I had dreamed of. Later that morning, I set off down to the beach. The water was blue and looked so inviting. It wasn't long before I was diving into the sea. It was crystal clear. I went snorkeling and saw dolphins and beautiful corals. On the second day, I woke up and thought about what I wanted to do. I wanted some more excitement. I walked into the town and saw a sign advertising motorbikes for rent. I had never ridden a motorbike before, but it looked pretty easy. I rented a motorbike, and after a few instructions from the cute Greek guy, I was soon on my way. The wind was blowing through my hair as I drove around the island. I was enjoying the view and not really concentrating on the road. That's why I didn't notice the oil on the road as I went around the bend. Suddenly, I found the motorbike slipping from underneath me. I skidded off the road and into a tree. I was in the hospital and hadn't woken up after my accident. That's when the hospital decided they would have to contact my family. They looked in my bag and found my parents' number. My mom answered the call. The hospital told her that her daughter was in a hospital in Greece. She can't be, said Mom. She's working as a maid. The hospital convinced Mom that it was me and said that her and Dad should come straight away. My parents booked a flight, even though they had to borrow the money to do so. When I woke up, I didn't know where I was. I looked around me and realized I was in the hospital. Mom and Dad were sitting beside me. We don't understand, they said. How did you get to be in Greece? I was scared to say it, but I knew I had to tell them the truth. I won $1 million, I said. I'm so sorry. I should have told you. I just wanted to know what it was like to be a rich kid. They were shocked to discover this. But they hugged me anyway and told me they were just glad I was safe. We returned home and I stopped my crazy spending. I helped out mom and dad and put the rest of my money in the bank, like I should have done from the very start.